Welcome to the Meet Me podcast, a podcast all about our multifaceted human nature and constant journey through self discovery. With personal stories and insights around trauma, motherhood, relationships, spirituality, and individuality, I'm your host, Michelle Malik. Thanks for listening. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Meet Me podcast. As always, I'm your host, Michelle Malik, and through this podcast, I hope to inspire others to take their trauma and experiences and transmute them into power, purpose, and connection. I'm honored to share another guest conversation with you today. I had the opportunity to talk with Jaikishaan Sharma, who shares his devastating story of being paralyzed and in a wheelchair and really losing his will to live. But through his healing process, he was able to overcome these challenges and take that opportunity to develop a now abundant and blossoming business. He's been featured on platforms such as Forbes and travels the world spreading his message and motivating others into taking control of their lives and not allowing the downturns to overcome their ability in still making an abundant life for themselves. So I was so inspired by this story. I hope that you are too. And quickly, before we dive into the episode, I did want to say that if you are listening to this when it comes out, there's a few days left of booking a healing session with me and receiving a free personalized card reading. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, it will be going through to the 13th of July, the end of this week. You can find that information or book at meetmehealing.com. I look forward to healing with you. And before any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the episode. All right. Well, so excited to be joined by Jaikishaan on my Meet Me podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, definitely want to give you the opportunity to start by introducing yourself to the listeners. Tell us a little bit about your
Of course.
background and what brought you here today.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, See, the only one reason I'm here is because I believe in secret of giving, because that's the way you live life. You know, the more you give, the more you get, and that's the whole purpose why I am here sitting with you today, to share my journey from wheelchair to dream chair. I'm an entrepreneur, okay, business, social media, business coach, mindset coach. Been doing this from last 2019. The journey was not the same. Right now, I have been traveling world, speaking on stages, helping others to achieve and fulfill their dreams through social media or through personal development. But at one stage, I was struggling myself financially, emotionally, physically, mentally. And that started in 2015. And that's why I said that my journey is from wheelchair to a dream chair. And that's the whole reason why I'm here to talk to the world through the help of your podcast, your communication, so I can reach out to thousands of people. And at least I can, 0.5% of people can get some message out of it today. So yeah, that's the whole reason why I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you have this mission and this message that you're excited to share with everyone. Obviously, from wheelchair to dream chair is such a great kind of motto and overview of your journey. But I guess take us from the beginning. Tell us about kind of what initiated that process for you. Obviously, there was a lot going on mentally, emotionally,
Yeah.
physically, as you said. So, where were you kind of at the start of this journey?
So the journey, I will take you back to 2007 when I first arrived in Melbourne as a student. I was doing my studies, masters in business, and finished my masters, got into the corporate world. Everything was fine, as that's what everyone wants, a good degree, and after good degree, you get a good job, correct? And you make some money, you start your life. I got married in 2010, and then 2012, my wife came over to Melbourne. We started planning for our next step, and the next step was obviously to grow the family, correct? And that's what we were planning. And at the same time, we were planning to buy our first house in Australia, and that was not easy because You got to save a lot of money to put up the deposit to get a house in Melbourne. We were working hard. She was working. I was working 9 to 5 in the corporate world. We were saving money. And then in 2014, late 2014, she was expecting our first child, my daughter, who is 8 years old right now. And I was excited. And just few months later, in February 2015, we moved into our first house where I'm talking to you right now. We were excited. We were so pumped, and we were like, "Oh, everything is going fine, and we're gonna have a wonderful life ahead." But you see, the life is unpredictable. And what we saw what happened in 2020 when COVID hit, nobody knew. Everyone was having fun, but suddenly everyone was asked to sit home for months and months. And that's exactly what I was waiting for, the unexpected moment, uncertainty. And in August, we were blessed with a baby girl in 2015. On the 11th of October, I walked into my office and I was made redundant. I was asked to go home. And they were like, Jackie, sorry, we cannot keep you any longer. We are outsourcing everything. And I was there for more than 9 years at that same place. So that struck hard, and I was like, it's okay. I can work better. I can get a different job. It's because I am in the market. I have experience. That's not a problem. My wife was not working because she was now looking after the newborn baby. It was only 2 months. I had a financial responsibility now because it's not me, it's two other people on my shoulder. And then I have a new house, the mortgage, which I need to pay. So I called my friend same day on the 11th of October 2015, and I was like, hey, I have lost my job. I'm looking for something very urgent because we are getting into Christmas. It's October already. There will be difficulty to get into the job because of the Christmas. So do you have something? And he said that, why don't you come and see me in my office tomorrow morning and we'll work out something. I think we have something part time at our place, and I will talk to my boss. Next morning, 12th of October, I was on my way and I made into a car accident. And that car accident left me paralyzed below my tummy. I had a very severe spinal injury. And because of that spinal injury, I was being told that I had to go through the surgery, and there is only 5% chance that I will ever walk again. And when I was being told that in the hospital, I saw my wife standing next to me with a 2-month-old baby girl. And that moment felt like I saw my life falling into the pieces in front of my life because I have a responsibility. I lost my job yesterday, and now the doctors are telling me that I will might not ever walk again. That broke me hard because we men, especially from the Asian countries, we men are always being told that you are the protector, you are the provider for the family. That's how we have been brought up in our life. And when something this happens in our life, we still need to show ourselves stronger to the others around us. But from inside, we are literally broke. You see, we from inside we are already falling apart, and that's exactly what happening with me. But somehow I was coping with it. I was trying to keep myself on the ground. I spent 8 months in the hospital, 4 months in the intensive care, 4 months in the rehab. And when they saw that there is no improvement, they were working on me, a lot of physio, a lot of exercise, a lot of therapy, but it didn't work. So they asked me to go home. Now, that was another part because when I was in the hospital, it was okay. The reason why, because I had a lot of other patients around me. There were nurses, there were people walking in, walking out. So I was constantly looking people, keeping myself busy. But when I came home, I was like where I am,
Mm.
because now it's me. my wife, my little baby girl, and my new wheelchair with me. And I was like, should I talk to my wife about what I'm feeling, what I'm going through? But then I realized the more I will share with her, she might go into depression or an anxiety mode or a panic attack, because at that moment when I came home, she started some, household work. Like she was doing some alteration, cloth alteration to make some extra money from home so she can pay the bills and all. And then I came home and I asked my wife, I was like, who's paying for the mortgage? Because I was a keep asking her when I was in the hospital and she never told me. I'm worried that we have a new mortgage. The bank will, seize the loan account and we might have to evacuate the house and we have to leave the house. I don't want that because we don't have any savings because all the savings has gone into that house. And she keeps telling me, don't worry, it's been already taken care of. You focus on your health, you focus on yourself. So it went by for a few days. And every time somebody used to knock the door or somebody used to ring the bell outside, I used to think that it's people from the bank, it's people from the recovery coming and knocking the door. And that was putting me into a depression. I started punching walls while sitting on my wheelchair. That anger was coming out. And then my wife finally sat down and told me that it's mom sending money from India. And I was like, how can mom send money from India? She doesn't work and she doesn't have that kind of money because it's $2,000 every month, and that's almost 1 lakh rupees every month. And people in India make 1 lakh rupee a year, not in a month. So I was like, how she's sending? So I called my mom. My mom said that, don't worry, I'm borrowing from the family and I'm borrowing from private lenders, on interest. And that hit me hard because I never wanted to put my family into this kind of a situation where they are now. And that was in September 2016 when I attempted my first suicide attempt, and it didn't work. I attempted second, and that time my wife caught me doing it, and she spoke to my doctors, my friends, and all, and then they took me to the psychiatric home where I was kept for 3 months. I did the same thing over there once again, and after few months, 4 5 months, when I came back home again, I was sitting on the wheelchair and uh, I saw my little girl playing with the toys. By that time, she was already 10 months old. I was sitting, I was looking at her, and she looked at me, and I looked at her. It was a moment of silence, and everything froze. In that moment, something happened. I'm still trying to figure out what was that. That energy, that vibe, that message. Because when I looked at her and she looked at me, I was given two thoughts in my mind. And that two thoughts were, Jackie, you have one choice where you can accept the things as they are, okay, and move on with your life, or try to make things better in some way, you know, because you can still talk, you can still think, you can still move around, you know, and you have a wonderful family, those who are doing everything to support you, you see. And that's exactly, I was like, I want to change this. I do not want to make the same mistake again. And I will make sure that I change my life into a 360-degree angle. And from there, my journey started on a personal development. First of all, I started reaching out to the people, those who are in the same similar situation like me, the physical trauma, because I wanted to get the inspiration how they can turn their life. so positive that they are still living. The best part is that we are living into the internet world, so you have a easy access to things. So I went online, Google, Instagram, YouTube. I even messaged people on social media. A few people reached out to me and they shared their journey. They supported me, they talked about how they started changing their mindset. Then I started reading books online. Yeah, I didn't have money, so I was not buying books because I was just trying to look for some free audiobooks online which I can listen to or I can read to some PDF books, And I did that, and then I find out about an exercise which is hydrotherapy. You do under the water. I talked about that to my doctor, and he's like, "Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, that's a good idea. You can do that. It might can benefit you." I started then, and at the same time, I started doing meditation, which I still do. It's been so many years, and from 2017 till 2019, I was sitting on that wheelchair, and then in 2019 February, I took my first step out of the wheelchair after 3.5 years in front of the same doctor, same neurosurgeon who told me that I will never walk again. Everyone was surprised, even me, the doctor, the family, that things have changed. And then I realized I was like, everything happens in your life is because of the things you are connected with. And I believe it's an energy. Okay. The reason why I'm sitting with you today, it's not because only that I want to share the message. It's because that energy within you and within me are connecting at some level, because you believe in the same message as I do. That's why we are sitting here today and talking about something which is very important in 2024,
Hmm.
because I think the number one disease people have in today's world is not cancer, it's depression, it's mental health. That's what people need help with. There is a treatment for cancer, there is a treatment for everything, but there is no support with the internal fight what humans are having right now.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's why I tell people that birds do not fly, they ride the wind, and fish do not swim, they are carried, because they believe in the power of that energy of universe.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that story. And I want to, break down a few points that you had made. I mean, obviously, that was years of difficulty and depression and hardships that you had to face. Going back to kind of where you were at the very beginning, I mean, it's so common, everyone's going to experience it in different ways, but I
Yeah,
think we all are faced with moments where it feels like our world is crumbling down right before our eyes, right? It's one thing after the other. Every aspect of our lives just feels unbalanced or it just feels like there's no hope. And so,
yeah,
it's very natural to want to fall into those depressive spirals, just as you shared that you did, and kind of losing that hope for things to get better. But I also loved what you said about, looking at your daughter and being faced with those two choices, because
yeah,
in any situation, we always have those choices, no matter what the
yeah,
circumstances are. It's either choose to let the circumstance take over or give up,
yeah,
or choose to fight and kind of continue on the journey and push to be better. And so, obviously, I'm grateful. Obviously, you're still here for a reason. Those
yeah,
attempts didn't work out because you still have something to do. And I'm sure this message is a huge part of that work. So honored that you are sharing that here. And, with kind of the tools that were at your disposal, another thing I want to bring up too is like, there are so many resources, even in a situation where you don't have access to a ton of money, especially in today's world. Like you said, there are so many free
yeah,
resources, self improvement practices that you can just take on that don't cost money, whether it be like getting a journal or
yeah,
meditating or going into these deeper practices. But I think a lot of that kind of effort to do those things has to come from a place of acceptance first and foremost,
exactly.
accepting, like you said, like this is just part of the journey. This is just what life has dealt me. And yeah, sometimes it doesn't feel quite fair, but I am so glad that you were able to come to that realization, make the choices to do better for yourself, for your family. And all these years later, you're here. So how amazing that you were told, you may never walk again. And then you get to take those first steps in front of the same people who told you
Yeah.
that. I'm sure that was so rewarding. From that point, once you had that, I'm sure it was like a click realization of like, wow, I'm in control of my destiny. I
Yeah.
have the power to change the outcome. Just because we're told that this is the path we're going down, we always have the choice, like I said, of choosing to go
Exactly.
down a certain path. So from that moment, once kind of you got in tune with that frequency, with that energy, tell us what happened from there.
Great point. Because what I think is that when your mind shifts from wanting more to realizing you already have enough,
Mm,
a subtle shift starts to happen. Yes, I did took my first three steps in February 2019 in front of that doctor, but that sensation was already started to show up in 2018.
mm,
Where I first time my toe started moving when I was sitting on the wheelchair, and I just shouted to my wife. I was like, "Can you come here? Something is happening." And she's like, "What happened? What happened?" And I was like, "I can feel my toe. It's moving." And she's like, "Okay, let me." She moved the socks, and she was like, "Can you move it now?" And I was trying hard, and then she saw, yes, it's moving a little bit. And that was the sign, and that gave me more power and more energy within me. I was like, I am on the right path.
mm.
And you made a right point that the reason I'm sitting here and the reason I failed in 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 killing myself is because I had a bigger purpose in life. And maybe that purpose is to inspire people, share my journey with people, connect with people, and impact their life, because I'm 100% sure that there are at least handful of people, those who might get inspired from what I'm going to share today or whatever I have shared so far. And see, there is an opportunity cost to everything worthwhile in life. Okay, whatever you are trying to accomplish, you will have to give up something in order to have it. There is no formula to success. Let's be frank. So if you want a successful life, you need to give up your negative mindset. You need to give up all those people, those who are holding you. Because if you are not willing to give up those things, then you are not ready for success. You are not ready for abundance in your life. And I realized that. And when I realized that, I started giving up all the negative, toxic people in my life. I started giving up all the negative feelings about myself, first of all, what I was going through. And then I give up the negative feelings about others in my life. And Tony Robbins says is very clearly, change your expectations into appreciations.
Mm.
Once you start appreciating things, everything will start falling into your line, in your way, so you can walk the path and you can achieve success.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, when it comes to energy or frequency, if you're still holding on to those lower vibrations, those lower thoughts, lower people, it's
Yeah,
not going to give you the ability to level up and to go into that higher
yeah,
frequency because you still have these things that are kind of weighing you down. So, in a way, again, kind of going back to the initial instance of everything falling apart, a lot of the times I believe truly that things fall apart for better things to come together. I know that's a very popular saying, but it's true. I mean, you're clearing the stage for a blank slate, a blank canvas, but it's how you choose to view those circumstances. If you choose again to kind of fall into the victimhood and feeling bad for yourself or feeling the guilt, feeling the shame, or do you take it as an opportunity to push through and find a new beginning, really?
and that's exactly what I did. Okay, I learned through my my failures, okay, what is going wrong, where I made a mistake. And the first thing I still remember, and I share this with each and everyone in my coaching as well. The first thing I did when I realized that yes, there is a problem. Okay, the first thing is like how I can eliminate all those limiting beliefs and all those negative, mindset I'm going through right now. And I did an exercise of eliminating all those boundaries I had in my mind. They were those boundaries were not physical. Okay, and I can tell you, 90% of the boundaries are not physical. They are in your head, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's exactly was with me. So I started writing down all my boundaries, all my limiting beliefs, all my negative thoughts on a piece of paper, and I started countering them with a positive one. And then once I have counted them with the positive ones, I used to burn the paper where I have put all my limiting beliefs. And I did that for every single day in 2019 for 90 days. And I started seeing, day by day, I was improving. I day by day, all those limiting beliefs, which were 20, 30, going down into 10, 5, 2, 3. And I was like, I'm feeling better, because when things comes from your mind onto a piece of paper, you get more clarity, okay, where you are, what is really holding you. Because the universe doesn't reward you when you are just thinking. The universe doesn't reward you from the thoughts. It rewards you from your actions. And I took those actions. And that was my first exercise, which I did in my personal development journey, and which has given me a sense of there is something to it, because before my accident, before everything happened in my life, I had never ever hear the word mindset ever before. Nobody told me there is a thing called mindset and personal development. Never. The only thing I knew is that you study hard, you work hard, you save hard, and you live your life. That's all. That's the only thing I knew. And when I realized, yes, there is a power to a personal development and your mind working on yourself instead of working something else. Because everything, whatever you do in your life, that thing will only level up to the level of your personal development. If you are not level up in your own game personally, you cannot level up in your business, in your relationship, or anything you do in life.
Right. It's like that ripple effect, it starts from within and then it ripples
Yes.
outwards into your reality. And I love that practice. I mean, that's such a great place for people to start who have limiting beliefs. I've done something very similar as well. And, sometimes writing those things down on a paper and actually looking at them, it makes you realize how ridiculous some of them are too. Because I think when it's just stuck in your head, it's just a constant narrative that's going round and round and you can't find your way out of it. But taking a step and actually writing it on paper, looking at it and being like, is this really how I feel about myself? Kind of snaps you out to be able to be like, well, okay, let's put that positive spin on it, burn away all of the things that were negative, focus on the positive. And then I love that you said, like, over the course of time, you noticed that list was getting smaller and smaller because as we work
Yes.
to reframe those beliefs, they're less likely to come back. And not to say that they'll never come back. I think, there are certain events or
No.
instances
Yes.
where those limiting beliefs will definitely reappear. But at least you have the tools and the ability to kind of catch it and be like, hey, there's that limiting belief again. Let me go ahead and flip it to the positive. So such a powerful
Yes.
practice
Right.
and a great place for people to start who struggle with that.
Exactly. Exactly. And you made a right point that when you will literally see those things, on a piece of paper and physically coming out on something, you will get a sense of silliness, and you will like I sometimes used to laugh on myself. I was like, Jackie, what the hell?
Where did this come from?
What, where it's coming from? It's nothing to do with your life. Why are you thinking about that? And and see, switching your mentality from I am broke and helpless to I am growing and healing, and watch your life changes for the better. It's just a matter of switching that that mentality of your way of living. There is a quote by someone, uh, I forgot, but I remember the quote, which is like, I am not what I think I am. I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am.
Mm,
It's everything to do with the perception. The
right.
perception you have about me, the perception I have about myself, the perception others have about me, and I have about them. That's how the life works, and that's how the thoughts appears through the perception. If you have a perception of a failure life, you will gonna live your life like that
Mhm.
because that's you are feeding to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I love what you said about kind of switching it from like being broken and beaten down to growing and healing, because this is not to say
Healing.
that life doesn't get really difficult sometimes and that we feel at the bottom of the barrel. We're allowed to feel our feelings, but it's about what does that mean for you? Does that mean you stay there and you just accept it as is? I think it's a lot more painful to just kind of take life and not do anything about it. It's takes more effort, definitely, to push through those fears, push through those limiting beliefs. But there's so much on the other side of it, as you've shared in your story. I mean, it all starts from within, and then you start to see
Yes,
those reflections of the things on the outside come. I mean, that's the whole thing of like just the basics in, manifestation, law of attraction. You put in, you give out what you put in and all of these things. And there's so much truth to that, but it really does start from a place of like how you feel about yourself and coming to the truth, the core of who you are authentically, at your very, very core, outside of all the external perceptions, outside of feeling embarrassed or shame or guilt. Those feelings come up so often for us these days.
correct. It's easy because the reason why it's easy is because of the social media.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Because we are constantly in the gratification mode. We need that instant gratification, and second of all, we are comparing too much to others.
Hmm.
You see,
Absolutely.
and that's what people need to understand. You are meant to do certain things. You are meant to get certain things in your life. I was meant to sit on the wheelchair. I was meant to attempt those suicide, and I am meant to do what I am doing today.
Fully believe that. And the thing is, too, like you said, there is this culture of comparison, especially with social media. We're constantly looking at how we can be
Yeah,
better, more popular, or, prettier, whatever it is. But like you said, we're all meant for something, and that is going to look different for every person. So, something I really work on
exactly.
too, because of course the comparison can get to me. I'm human. I see things and I'm like, dang it, I wish I could
Yeah,
do this better or do that better. But it's about coming back to self and being like, well, they're doing it in that way. I can do it in my own way. And then just like finding that flow of that energy that we've been talking about, where you just feel like you're aligned with who you are and your purpose, and finding that fulfillment in the things that we do, the little steps that we take every day.
see that's why I have a three formula which I share with people. Okay, it's called
Mm-hmm.
3L. Okay, number one is you learn. Number two is you get in love, and number three you launch. Because anything, if you want to achieve anything in life, and if you are trying to do something, first of all, you need to learn everything what you are about to step into. I was broke, but when I realized, okay, now I have my head is straight, I am mentally strong, I have now boundaries I can see around me or within me. How can I make money? Because money is important. I cannot let my mom go to people and keep asking money, correct? Cannot let my wife do things which she never wanted to do. So I had a choice, and the choice was like, okay, I cannot go physically out there in the marketplace or in the workplace work for myself, but I can sit here on my wheelchair in home and use my internet and my mobile and my laptop. And how can I make money as others are doing the same thing and making money? I started learning. I started learning about social media. How does it work? How we can make money from social media. And there was as you said, that we are humans. Okay, we will procrastinate. We will overthink, and that's exactly what happened with me. I was going into the stuff. It was overwhelming because it was new for me. So I was procrastinating. I was delaying, you know, and it was taking months. And I started getting worried. I was like, this is taking long time. So I was like, what can I do? I was like, hang on. I am just trying to learn like a machine, but how about I can fall in love with the things that I'm learning? Because when you fall in love with something, you do not procrastinate. It's just like your kids, because you love your kids unintentionally, that you cannot procrastinate on your kids. You cannot overthink. Even they do any mistake, you will still love them, because 95% of the humans on this planet make their decisions on the basis of their emotion. Emotions equals motion.
Yeah.
And I started falling in love with the social media learning. And when I started falling in love, I saw things were getting into my head way quicker. I was understanding things. I started enjoying, because when you enjoy the process, there is no step back, there is way forward. And then once I equipped myself with the knowledge. The third thing I did is launch. I launched my first business venture, affiliate marketing, where I started making a couple of $1,000 every month, because that was the easy way for me to get started. That's why I always tell people that if you want to get into something, if you are trying to learn and trying to action something, do not just learn, because I'm 100% sure. And I have seen that. Okay, I'm a coach now. I have seen people coming to me. I teach them, I give them all the tools, all the strategy, but there are most of the people don't take action. Because again, as I said, the instant gratification, they want a success overnight. But we got to understand, you have to put a hard work. Okay. Don't believe those people says that there is no hard work, only smart work.
No,
There is a hard work.
yeah, especially when you're trying to, like so many people these days are trying to like break out, start their own thing in order to start something brand new. And that's something I'm experiencing too. I'm still very early on in my podcast journey. And yes, I get frustrated sometimes with timing, and that's all normal. But like you said, it's about, finding the thing that really speaks to your soul. Like, is this something I really want to do? How can I pursue it? And then dedicating the time to it, but in a way that, because I struggled with this too when I first started, it was like, oh, another thing on top of this whole list of responsibilities. Now I add this on top of it. Oh my gosh, I have no time. I'm so busy. And I actually had a coach who snapped me out of that mentality as well, because it's not serving anything. Nothing's moving when you're just kind of sitting again in that victim mentality of, oh, woe is me. I have too much stuff on my plate. It's like, do you want the change? Do you want to see the change in your life? Or are you okay just being where you're at? Because if you're okay being with where you're at, then just keep doing what you're doing. But for those of us who really want to see the change in our life and our reality, it's like, it does take that work. It takes dedication, but there is a way to find that balance of like, this is something I really want for myself. This is something I'm passionate about. And so I'm going to find some joy in it. And like you said, it makes the whole process so much easier when you stop looking at, again, back to that mindset mentality. It's like, if you look at it as a chore, it's going to feel like a chore. Or if you look at it as something that is pushing you forward to the next stage of your life, like it's going to feel more aligned.
Yeah, yeah. Because see, I'm here in the down under, okay, in Australia. Most of the people I connect with, they are sitting in US.
Hmm.
Okay? Last night I was on a event, it's a virtual event where there were more than 20,000 people. I was doing that interview at 1 a.m. my time, and I knew that I have a call with you in the morning as well. So I had only like few hours sleep, but because I enjoy this, it doesn't matter it's 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. I enjoy doing what I'm doing today. It doesn't matter if I'm getting only 3 hours sleep, because I know that when I will go back to my bed tonight, I'm going to have a great shut eye,
Right. You're
because
going to rest well
I have
knowing that you had a
done
full day of work
exactly
that
that.
fills you up. Hmm.
That's what I tell people, that let me give you a question to ask. Okay, I will ask everyone to ask yourself one question: is it my life, or it's a perception or a projection of someone else? That's the question you need to ask, especially now. Is it your life? Your life? Are you the one who's enjoying the life? Are you the one who's making the decision, making the choices? Or it's just a projection or a perception you are living of someone else? And then it doesn't matter it's your family or your friends or your work colleagues or the world around you. It has to be yours. It has to be your life. Because when you get into your own life, as you say, connecting yourself with the core, you automatically into the emotional intelligence place,
Absolutely.
because then things go autopilot.
Yeah, it just takes a minute to kind of like
So that's the
readjust
question.
because as you were saying, that is such a heavy question,
Yeah.
and so many people don't take the time to look at their lives and ask that. But how often are we pushed into directions that we didn't really want to do because our family, our partner, our friends made us feel pressured into those directions? That's not our life. Like you said, that is a projection of somebody else's expectations onto us. And so it takes a lot of work to peel back those layers, find out like what is really mine, what is really the truth of who I am. But once you find it, things will just start to flow. Abundance will start rolling in once you change your mindset. And it's not anything that's overnight, like we talked about with the instant gratification. That's, I think, why a lot of people miss out on their blessings because they stop when it's inconvenient. They start to say, oh, okay, this is taking too long. I'm uncomfortable. I'm going to go back to what I know and stay in that comfort zone.
Yeah.
But it's in that consistency, that trust. And it really starts from self trust and then trust in the universe for the rest to kind of fall into place.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And see, that's exactly what happened with me,
Mm,
And I take example from my own life. And let me give you a biggest example. And nobody believes me, okay? Nobody does. I still got my wheelchair with me. I started walking fully, like fully, I started walking in 2020, okay?
mm,
It took me 1 year, from 2019 February to 2020 uh, July, fully on my step with the crutches and the frames, walking in the house. So I had a choice. Should I give my wheelchair back? Should I keep it? And I made a decision. I want to keep that. And again, coming back to the thing which you shared, humans, we are human. We will gonna have tough days.
mm,
The adversity will hit us back at some point, because that's how the life goes. But if something happens tomorrow with me, what is my inspirational tool? My inspiration tool is my wheelchair, because when I sit on that wheelchair right now, whenever I am facing my bad days, it gives me a sense of clarity
mm,
that, Jaikishan, you have come so far. You have achieved so much. The moment you are facing right now, it's nothing in compared to what you have lived through. People always reach out to the past for negative things, isn't it? Normally, if you ask people, how was your past? Oh, my past was shit. I
mm.
made so many mistakes. That's exactly what people will tell you. And that's what I did. I tell people, I was like, if you want to talk about past, I want you to keep something physical from your past which inspires you. Because it's very powerful when you connect with something which is physical from your past, which doesn't only give you the motivation, but it gives you the sense of worth in this life. That you have a life of meaning, you have a life of fulfillment. People need to understand that it's not about instant gratification, comparing yourself with others. It's about living your life. It's about coming out of from your core, from your heart. You know, when I started reaching out, when I started, like, and that moment came in 2021 when my first Forbes article came out, from wheelchair to dream chair. And you won't believe how that happened. I was on a Zoom call in a bunch of group, massive group, and there was a lady who knew me through Instagram. Okay, she, I was sitting and I was listening. I had no intention of talking. I was just listening and grabbing all the knowledge. You know, and that lady opened her mic and she talked about me, and that she like there's a guy who is on the Zoom call right now. He has this journey and he's amazing. And luckily, there was a editor from the Forbes sitting in that Zoom call. After that call, that lady reached out to me that, hey, I want to know more about your journey, what happened and all that. So I shared and everything happened, and she's like, hey, we want to put you on the on the Forbes. We want to share your story. I think it's very powerful how far you have come. And when I got into that Forbes, things started blasting out. I was like, my God, what just happened? My Instagram DMs were full, my Facebook was full. People were reaching out, my emails, my YouTube channel, and I was crazy. I was like, this is amazing. There are people those who want to listen to me. There are people those who want to hear what I have gone through. You know, and that's where my coaching journey started. And now, when my coaching journey started, people started calling me out for their events to speak on stage, speak in their events. And now my family was worried again. I was like, we do not want to let you go out by yourself because you are not 100% fit. I hardly go out, because I'm still not 100% fit because I have chronic pain. I'm on a chronic medication. The injury I had was very severe. So it will take time or it will might not recover 100%. But I'm still glad that I'm back on my feet. So now my mom, my sister, my wife was worried that we do not want to let you go by yourself. Last year, my mom traveled with me in a business class wherever I have gone. My mom was with me to Dubai, to Singapore, you know, to Malaysia, and she was with me because she's like, because that was my first international stage event where I was taking part as a speaker. And she's like, I don't want to let you go by yourself, because how if you get, if you fall somewhere or something happens. I was like, okay, I'll take care of you. You take care of me. Let's go together.
There you go. Win-win situation for everybody. I love that so much. Such a beautiful culmination of your experience and then your success. And I love how the Forbes opportunity was presented in such an unexpected way. I feel like a lot of the times that's when the best stuff happens, is when we're not expecting it and we kind of just release expectations, and the universe always delivers. Obviously, you were doing the work, you were, working towards that in some way, and it just gets presented to you like that way. And I also love, I wanted to kind of bring up too with the physical sort of memory of the wheelchair. I think that's amazing that you did keep that, because it's so true. I tell myself this a lot as well in my journey of like, I've been through harder days. I've gone through more traumatic events.
Mm,
Like, if I've survived and I'm still here, and for anybody listening, like if you've survived traumatic events and you're listening to this right now, like just know that
mm,
you overcame those events. You're going to overcome anything else that comes your way. And I think that is such a powerful reminder, having some sort of physical aspect that you can look at or feel or touch and be like, it takes you back to that time in your life and knowing that you've made it on the other
mm.
side.
Absolutely. And when we honor the past, we create an open space for the future.
Yeah.
You see, but when we cling to the past, we are likely to repeat that again. And normally people do that. They cling, they whinge about the past more than they look back and see, oh, I had a great moment. And if I compare those great moments with my worst moments, oh, I have more great moments.
Mhm.
So let's only keep those in my consciousness instead of worrying about what had not gone right. And that's what people need to understand, that create your path, it's your choice. But creating other people's path is not your choice.
It's
You
all
will
what
do
you can
what you
control.
require to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you will do what you require to do, and that's exactly you should focus on. Rest, everything will fall in place. I was not expecting the Forbes team. I was not expecting people coming to me, reaching out to me. I was not expecting I will turn into a coach. I was not expecting making $1 million last year in my business. I was not expecting going from $70,000 in debt to making $1 million while sitting home and traveling few countries. It happened because my focus was impact. My focus was connect. My focus was to uplift others because that's where my energy comes from. And then when I started doing that, automatically start people started connecting. You know, I'm so grateful. I can't tell you. Like I'm having a goosebumps right now. I'm so grateful for what I'm doing because I'm sitting with people, those who are making 10, $20 million a year right now. And when I get to see them, learn from them, talk to them personally and connect with them, the next level, because then you feel like, okay, everything is
Yeah. It was
sorry.
all the struggles, all the hardships, they end up becoming worth it when you just continue to persevere through. And that's the whole purpose of this podcast. So again, I'm so honored that you shared this because my whole thing is like taking trauma, taking experiences, and how can we transform them and transmute them into our power, purpose, and connection? Because all of those words, power, purpose, connection, they are available to us. It's just how we choose to view those traumas and how we choose to flip the narratives. So thank you so much again for everything you've
Yeah.
shared. It's been so inspiring and motivating, and I'm sure everyone will take something away from it. I want to give you an opportunity to share where people can find you and how they can work with you if they're interested.
Of course, of course. It's easy to find me. Okay. You can type my first name and last name on Google, which is Jaikishaan Sharma. And if you find that type that on Google, everything will appear. All my Forbes articles, all my interviews, podcast. And another easy way to find me is on Instagram, which is at Jaikishan Sharma. And I always respond to each and every DM. Okay. There is no unattended DM on my Instagram right now, whether it's a spam, whether it's real. I respond to everyone. Okay, so if you will send me a message on DM, you will get a response as soon as possible. So yeah, that's the best way to reach out to me. I do social media marketing coaching. I help people, those who are into a small business. I help them to how to leverage social media and scale up. Second, I am a mindset coach and I help people with mindset obstacles where they are struggling with procrastination, overthinking, self sabotaging behaviors. I run one on one session, preferably where I coach people on one because my sessions are a lot of intense to where people come out emotionally and they have a open space to share their trauma, their setbacks, and I've seen that when it's one on one, it becomes easy for the coach and for the client to open up. So that's what I do. That's how you can reach out to me. I really appreciate for you to bring me over and giving me a chance to share today the great work I'm doing, the great work you are doing, and I wish you all the best luck in your life. And I know you will gonna smash it. I'm 100% sure, and I will see you around. Yes,
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so, so much for your time again and such an honor. We'll absolutely stay connected. I'm so grateful to have met your acquaintance and can't wait to continue to follow your journey.
thank you.
Thank you so much, as always, for dedicating some time and energy into listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this episode or any of my previous episodes, please don't forget to rate, write a review, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Spread the word. It helps the podcast grow, and I'm so looking forward to some of the upcoming content. If you're looking for ways to connect with me, my website is meetmehealing.com. On there, you'll find everything in relation to the healing services that I provide for booking, as well as podcast information and some of the recent blog posts that I've just updated on there as well. You can also connect with me on Instagram or on Threads at meetme.michelle. I look forward to hearing from you and can't wait to share more with you so soon. Until then, bye.